Russian troops continue to strike enemy targets in the rear and frontline areas. In Kharkiv, the NSC IECVM building, where the AFU units were located, was hit. In Odessa, the target was the HQ of the Operational Command South. Several officers were eliminated, including the head of the Apophthegms of the communications center. Several more strikes took place at the warehouse of the logistics company Nova Poshta, as well as at the workshop of the Telekart Prilad plant. In the occupied part of the DPR, the railway infrastructure in Pokrovsk was hit. A high-voltage substation in Pavlohrad was also hit, which caused the city to be temporarily de-energized. Ukrainian units, in turn, attacked energy infrastructure facilities in Russia. Drones damaged several railroad substations, which led to temporary power outages and the delay of several trains. In addition, the enemy again attacked the Ryazan oil refinery with drones. A fire broke out at the facility, which was quickly eliminated. AFU also launched ATACMS missiles at facilities in Crimea several times. The targets of the raid were the airfields in 𝐔𝐤𝐫𝐚 and Vardiska. In the Special Military Operations Zone, Russian troops continue to develop success in several sectors of the front. In North Ukrainian direction, the enemy is strengthening defensive lines and also training personnel at training grounds. In Slobozhanska direction, Russian troops launched rocket, artillery, and airstrikes against targets in the border area. On the outskirts of Ostroverkivka, 2 X-35U missiles destroyed a control point from the Iris-T air defense system. In Kupiansk-Svatov direction, Russian troops advanced on the northeastern outskirts of Kotlyarivka. Fighting continue in Kislivka, in the central part of the village. In Lyman direction, fighting continued on the left bank of the Zherebets River. Russian troops are trying to eliminate the enemy's bridgehead, advancing in the area of Balka Kruglaya and Laptov Yar. In Siversk direction, Russian assault groups fought east of Bilohorivka. Near Spirny, Russian troops struck AFU positions with cluster bombs and thermobaric munitions. In Bakhmut direction, Russian armed forces seized the southern part of the Stupki-Golubovsky II Nature Reserve, reaching the bed of the Siversky Donets-Donbass Canal. Southeast, between Ivanivsky and Klishchivka, Russian assault groups seized the western outskirts of the former Artemovsk airfield and the forest plantation north of Klishchivka. In Avdiivka direction, Russian troops continued their offensive north of Avdiivka, during which they liberated Ocheretine. Also, Russian assault groups advanced westward in the direction of Sokil from Solovyove. To the east of Ocheretine, Russian units completely liberated Karamik after the cleaning of Novokalinov. The enemy left the settlement and retreated in the direction of 𝐒𝐩𝐞. For several days, Russian troops stormed enemy positions in 𝐒𝐩𝐞. By the night of May 4th, the settlement, as well as the fields south of the village, came under the control of Russian armed forces. In Donetsk direction, Russian assault groups have gained a foothold in most of the refractory plant. On the eastern outskirts of Krasnohorivka, Russian armed forces established control over the fortified area in the area of the Hunting House, advancing from Staromikhailivka. In Georgivka, due to the competent actions of the assault groups, Russian troops advanced in the center of the village. The territory of the former agricultural chemistry enterprise and the forest belts south of Pobjeda also came under the control of Russian armed forces. In Vuhledar direction, Russian troops established full control over the territory of Mashinostroitel Garden Village. To the south of Novomikhailivka, Russian armed forces are storming forest plantations, ejecting the enemy from some positions. In Vremivka direction, after several weeks of air and artillery strikes on the AFU positions in 𝐒𝐩𝐫𝐚, Russian armed forces went on the attack. As a result of the offensive, Russian stormtroopers were able to gain a foothold in the farmland on the southern outskirts of the village. In Zaporizhzhia direction, after several months of fighting, Russian troops ejected the AFU from the northern outskirts of Robotyne. The enemy retains the ability to enter positions in the gray zone to the northwest of the settlement. In Kherson direction, AFU continue to hold a bridgehead in the central part of Krinky. Northeast of Kozachi Lahari, there are shooting battles in the island zone.